All right, as promised, I guess, I'm going to quickly create the BMI program. In this class, I'm going to create it in Android, and then the next class, I'm going to create it in Swift. I'm not going to add the image views, so I'm just going to make it nice and simple. This is for the benefit of those of you who still haven't done the assignment, so you can get some points for it. I'm not saving it out there for you, so if you want to watch, watch. If you don't care, if you got it done, not hurt my feelings any. All right. So just started up a new project. I'll just call it BMI app, which is what it is. All right. Click next. Just keep the settings that we've been using all semester. Click next again. Blank activity. Click next again. And I'm not going to change any of these names. They're all fine. All right. I'm going to have a very simple interface. All right. So if you say, well, mine looks better, good for you. I'm happy for you. Okay? Because that's the idea, is to just show you the code that you need in order to get this done. That's all. And as always, I don't need the text view with hello world on it, so I'm going to remove that. All right. Then I'm going to come in here, excuse me, and I'm just going to put in a couple of edit texts. All right. So the first one, where are we? I want it to be a number. All right. And yeah, we'll put it in there as a decimal. Okay, so I'll drag that in right here. And we'll fix that a little bit. I'm not worried about it, but that's, yeah, I guess I could change it now. One thing is, for the name of it, that'll be my height text. Again, you can call this whatever, oh, wrong, put it in the wrong one. You can call these things whatever you want. You know, it should be something at least somewhat meaningful, I would think. All right, so there's height text. And so there it is. Doesn't look like much right now. It isn't much right now. I'll go down to hint here, and I'll put enter height in inches. Remember what that is. It literally is a hint. So that's what should appear there when I run the program. All right. So I'll put that in there. The other thing that I don't have to do this, but I will do it, is I'll come over here and where we've got the, which one do I want here? For the width and the height, well, I don't care that much about the width. And actually, this isn't bad, enter height in inches. If I wanted it to stretch the whole way, I could come down here and I could change that to match parent, yes. No, it literally is gray but when you put your mouse in it and click, it goes away. And then if you remove everything again, it comes back. It's magic that way. No, it's nothing special about it. So, all right, so there's enter height in inches. I want to add another one. Put it down here. All right, probably should have moved it up, but it's fine. Enter weight, whoops. In pounds. All right, and I will also double click on this and I will change the name of this. The other one I think I called height text. So this one I'll call weight text. And I'd like to spell weight correctly. Okay, so there's what I've got so far. Not real much, but it's fine. Okay, then I'm going to add a couple buttons. So I'll add the first one here. Okay, and it says new button. You know this. Just because I want to be more politically correct isn't the right word, but I will come over to values here, go down to strings, and I'm going to put in a couple strings here. String name equal clear, and it'll be clear because I want to do a clear routine in here. And I want another one that I'm just going to call calculate. Okay, so now I've got those set up. Again, I could come in here and I could put a big label across the front of it that had in there the name of the app and whatever. I don't really, I'm just trying to get this done. All right, so that's done. Jump back into here for the button here. Then what I'll want to do is I want to click on it. Come on. And for the text, well, how about let's do the name first. I called it Clear Button. And for the text over here, remember if I click here, it's going to show me a list. And if I peruse my way down here, there's my clear. All right. So boom. Now it says clear. Good. I want to add another button here. So okay, probably too close to the other one, but again, I don't really care very much. Again, I'm going to click this one. This one, I want to come over here and I want to find calculate. There it is. All right, and I'll double click on it and I'm going to call this calculate button. Okay, so there's my interface. Again, nothing really to look at. Okay, and there's all sorts of ways that I can do this. And I was even thinking about this. I probably should have used a toast or something like that. But what I did was I just brought down a plain text view. And I moved that down here. Okay, and I didn't put anything in it right now. I just left it the way it was, basically. And for the ID, I called it answer text. Okay. Again, I can put a hint in it if I want to. I don't know if that really makes sense, but I can say, answer goes here. Then at least there's something in it. All right, so you can, you'll be able to see that. Or I could have sat there and I could have, when I clicked on it here, I could have put some text in there. I don't really care, so it's fine the way it is. All right, do I have to run this now? I mean, is everybody cool with what's in there? That makes sense to everybody? All right, I want to show you something that maybe even John doesn't know. I don't know. He probably does, but maybe John doesn't even know this. That is, I'm going to click on clear here. And this was discussed in our book, okay, but kind of in passing. So I'm going to come down here, and where it says on click, then what I'm going to put in there is the name of the routine that I want to call. So since it's a clear button, I'm going to call it clear. Okay, boom. Nothing magical happened when I did that. Doesn't look any different, but it'll react a little differently in just a minute. Then I'm going to go over to calculate, and then the on click, I want to call it calculate BMI. All right, so I put both those in there. All right, now I want to switch over to my main activity here. And again, the way that I do this might be different than the way you do it, but the bottom line is if we have the same stuff, if we change the order around or whatever a little bit, that's not really that big of a thing. Okay, so what I did was up here at the top, I went and added 3 variables. I had an edit text that I called height text. I had another edit text, and I'll fix that in just a minute, that I called weight text. And I had my text view that I called answer text. And you notice that all 3 of these have red, which means that right now the system doesn't understand them, which means that right now I have to come into my import statements and I've got to add the correct imports. All right, I'm going to manually do it just so you see this. So I'm going to come in and import Android. I keep writing import. I don't know why. I think that this keyboard is starting to stick, or else I am. I don't know. So import Android dot widget dot, and notice that one of the ones it finds is edit text. Okay, so that fixes that one. And then import Android dot widget dot text view. So that's the other one. All right, and I mean really the time to do this is now. So notice I still have these red because these have been they're yellow because they've been defined but they haven't been used. That makes sense, right? But I'm not getting any error messages. There's nothing red along the side here. If you see something red really, it's probably a good idea to fix it as soon as you possibly can. Okay? All right, so now I want to come down here, and in my onCreate, now I've declared these three variables. I think everybody'd agree with that. Okay? Now I want to initialize them. Could I have initialized them right there? I don't know. Some books show them being declared right in onCreate. I don't like to do that because I'm using them all over the place in the program, so I like to declare them outside of anywhere so I know that I never have to worry about them being passed or anything else. Again, that's my point of view. You may or may not agree with that. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say height text, and I'm going to initialize it now. Remember, I've got to cast it to an edit text, not an edit text, and I want to say find view by ID, and I want to go to the R file, id.heightText. That should make sense to everybody in here by now. That's saying go out to that special R file that's out there, and it's what this is trying to do is, remember, it is totally permissible. I could have written virtually all of this or a lot of this and just written it right in the activity main.xml file itself. So this is basically saying grab that stuff that's been defined in that XML file and bring together the XML and the Java. All right. The next line is exactly the same, except instead of saying height text, I want to say weight text. So I just copied it and changed the two H's to W's. All right. And then the last one is the answer text, but it's a different type of variable. So I can't say answer text. Here I can't say edit text because it's a text view. Now, is what's going on right there, does that make sense to everyone? Because all I've done right now is to create three variables, and I've basically said how I'm going to be using them. That's all I've done. All right? If I run the program now, nothing magical is going to happen. Okay? The magic, so to speak, is going to start to happen now because I'm going to add these two functions. The first one I'm going to add is clear. And since I set it up in there in the onClick, what I have to do is I have to say it's a view of type view. Now this can be named anything I want, but notice again, it doesn't have this. So I've got to again come down here and I've got to import android.view.view. All right. So now I can come in here and I can add. So think about this, all right? There's really, when you look at this, whoops, I want to go here. There's really, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 things I want to do in here. There's 4 things in this clear routine I want to do. I want to clear this. I want to clear this. I want to clear this. And I want my cursor to go in there. Does all that make sense? I mean, there's probably other things that I could do, but those are the main things that I want to do. All right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say my height text dot set text to the empty string because that clears it out, correct? That's the first thing I'm doing. Then I want to do the same exact thing but with the weight text, so I'm just going to copy it. So that's cleared out both of those. Then I want to do the same thing with my answer text. And remember, when we're working, if we've got a clear routine in iOS, in Swift, if we want something to get the focus, we say become first responder. Here, we say the name, which is our height text, and you say request focus. All right? Now, there's other things I may want to end up doing in here, okay? but I haven't created those variables yet. So this is fine for right now. Okay, as far as I know, this is going to be just fine. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to create my button or my routine for calculating the BMI. Is there anything that's in there that we've gone over so far because I added this, and I added this, and now I just added this? Is there anything that's in there that doesn't make sense to anyone? Because this is the time to ask. Sometimes it's kind of tough if I'm lecturing out of a book, but when you see the code here, hopefully it makes a little bit more sense. All right? So when you think about it, there's what? There's really what do we want to do here? Well, we're going to have to input the height, and we're going to have to input the weight. Okay? And then based on that height and based on that weight, all right, we're going to want to do our calculation and figure out our BMI. Okay? I wrote this, and I'm going to see if I can write it on the fly, but knowing me, I'll screw it up. But I wrote this all, and I just put it into one big routine. But I'm going to try to push it out into more than one routine. Okay? All right. So I'm going to say here, public void calculate BMI. Like I said, no excuses or anything. I'm just doing what I'm doing right now. I'm doing on the fly. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not it works. All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to set up my height. Double height. And that equals what? Double dot parse double the height text. So that's whatever I put into that text box. Dot get text. But remember, then we've got to take that and convert that over to a string. So I'm setting height to whatever I put into that text box. And since I set that, I shouldn't say text box, I'm sorry, edit text. So, but since I set that edit text up to be numeric, there should only be allowed to be numbers in there. So I shouldn't have to check for non-numeric. Does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to do the same thing because, again, all I want to change is that to a W and that to a W. Please make sure that, and there's got to be one more paren there and one more paren there. Please make sure that if you're doing this, because I've done this before, it's real easy to just say, well, this line and this line are the same thing. So you copy one to the other and you change that, and then you never change this one. It's a very common type of thing to do. All right? Everybody does it. All right. So I've got enough information now that I should be able to figure out my BMI. Okay? If I wanted to, I could come in here now and I could add my constants. So I could add min weight, min height, max height. I'm not doing that stuff. All right? I just want to get this to work so it just gives you an idea of what's going on in here. That's all. So I'm going to say double BMI equals, bad thing is I already call that calculate BMI. So I can either do it right inside of here or I can write another routine. See what I'm saying? So I can, right now what I want to do is calculate the BMI. I probably should have just called that calculate. I can still change it. It's no big thing. All right, but I'm just going to leave it the way it is for right now. Okay? So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to basically figure out what the BMI is right now. And the BMI simply is, in fact, let's just call it BMI value. All right, I'm going to set that equal to what? Well, you know, hopefully by now, because you've done this in enough classes that you know how to do this calculation. It's the weight divided by, and you don't have to do it this way, but I did it this way, math.pow height 2 times 703. Okay? That should give me my right answer. Now I've got a height and I've got a weight. All right? I could also check in here because what happens, this program, not yours, mine, will blow up if I run it and immediately click the calculate button. Why? because I didn't enter anything yet. So I could make a check in here. I could have just said double height and double width, and then I could have checked first. That would have been a cleaner way to do it. So what I'm saying is, it would have been much cleaner. Let me just do a Control X on here. To have done this, say 0.0 right here, and then come down here and said if height is greater than or equal to 0, so at least now I would have said greater than 0, so that there's something in there, all right, then I could have done that and said, that wouldn't have been right, would it? Let's see. If, well, what I want to do is I want to check, there it's set to 0, yeah, but I want to check what's in there, okay? So if double dot parse double, all that mess, all right, if that mess that's right there, if that mess is greater than 0, all right, then I want to set what? So I don't have to parse it. If height dot get text dot toString, if that is greater than 0, and I'm screwed up in here someplace with a paren, I'm sure, operator greater than, I'd have to convert it. I'm going to leave it the way it was, all right? Does everybody understand, though, what I'm saying? I expect yours to work. I'm going to run yours, and the first thing I'm going to do is click the calculate button. All right? Well, then go back and fix it. No. I didn't grade it yet because when I went in and looked at them, there were 5 people who had turned this in and only 2 who had turned in the iOS stuff. All right? All right, I'm just going to leave it like that. And now I can come in here. So now I've got everything done, all right, for that stuff. Okay? And now I can come in and I can actually, I am going to just put it all in this routine. But I could come in here now and do all sorts of different stuff. But what I'm going to do is I created another variable up here. I can leave that variable here. That's fine. But I created 2 more variables. They were both strings. One of them I called status, and I set that equal to the empty string. The other one I called result, and I also set that one equal to the empty string. All right? Now, status is going to say overweight or underweight or optimal weight. All right? And how am I going to do that? Well, if the BMI value is less than 18.5, then status equals underweight. That makes sense? All right. Else, if BMI value is greater than 25, then I know the status has got to be equal to overweight. And if it's not underweight and it's not overweight, it has to be optimal weight. Okay? Does that make sense? So now what do we have? We've got their height, we've got their weight, we've got their BMI, which we calculated, all right, and we've got their status. So this other thing here that says result, I just built a string. So when I set my text later, I can just set it equal to that string that I'm going to keep building. All right, so I'm going to build that string now. I could have built it here. I mean, I could have started building the string right there because now I've got my height. Then after putting in this one down here, I could have added to it and put in the weight, then et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just going to do it all down here. This isn't the way that I did it when I wrote it out right before a class. So I came in here and I said this. Result equals height plus height text dot get text dot to string, and I put a double or a new line at the end. Okay, so right now that's going to say height, and it'll give me the height. Okay, then the next thing I want to do is virtually the same thing, not quite, but pretty close. So I did it again, but this time if I change this and I put in here a W for weight, that's going to overwrite what was there before. So I have to here say plus equals. So now, and it should make sense to everyone, now what I'll have in here is I've got what? I've got the result with a height, and then after that I'm going to add the weight. Okay? Hope that's not a mistake, because it says signed result, yeah, never used. Yeah, whatever. All right. So now I want to keep adding to it. So result, again, plus equals. And now I can add what? The BMI. The BMI value, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. Plus, well, now when I'm working with this right here, I can't say dot to string. Does that make sense? Because notice if I put in here BMI value and I put in a dot, if I work my way through here, there is no toString. So I can't do that. So what do? You go out to Google and you tell it, okay, I want to take a double and I want to convert it to a string. What do I have to do? And you go out to Google and Google tells you, you say, in order to do this, you say double dot, not subble, you say double dot toString, and then in parentheses you put whatever it is you want to convert. All right? What's that?
Another way, you just add an empty string.
Yeah, you're right. John's right. We could have just left it the way it was, and we could have just said plus double quote, double quote. That would have worked too. All right? You're right. There's probably a bunch of other ways that it can be done too. All right? So then finally, result plus equals, and we wanted to put in the status. Whoops, status. All right? And for the status, now I just have to say plus status. It's already a string. Okay? So ideally, if I run this and I put 72 in there and I put like in 166, all right, it should give me a BMI of like 23 point something. Okay, I'll take your question in a second. And it should say optimal weight if I've done everything correct. Does that make sense to everyone? Let me put the last line in, and then I'll take your question. All right, because all that's left here is to just say answer text dot set text result. Go ahead.
You mentioned that on a toString method, you don't have the friends result.
The first result. Say that again.
When you're adding to the string, the result
Here.
string, the toString method doesn't have.
You're correct. And that's why it's red. Thank you. So what Zane just said was originally right here and right here I didn't have the parens after toString. Okay? And I'm looking at it. Yeah, there's some yellow here, which says that really there was a better way to do it than the way you did it. Okay, I can live with that. But I don't have any errors. All right? And to me, at least, that's a good thing. So I'm going to do a file and a save all. And you can see before, because I messed up. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to try to run it again. Yeah, weird things have happened this semester with the virtual desktop, with Eclipse. If I would have known we were going to have all the problems that we were going to have with Android Studio, I would have just stayed with Eclipse. And I really and truly think that would have made the IT people happier also, because many of the problems that we've had seemingly can be traced back to Android Studio. That said, all right, that said, there are some nice things about Android Studio, okay? Such as, you may or may not have noticed it, but notice layout right here. I should say drawable. How many drawables do you see there? I see one. You throw all your images in there. You don't have to worry about XX, DPI, and all the other stuff. So those of you, when you do yours and you put the image view in there, that's, if you use Android Studio, that's where you're going to put it. All right. And again, this can be real with your images and stuff. It can be as simple as you want to, or have to, whatever it is, whatever. Okay. Well, this is the old one, so do I have to stop it and start it again? I shouldn't have to, should I? That still says it's building. Yeah. Is there anything that's in there that did not make sense to people? In the original one that I did, I broke this up into 3 or 4 functions. All right, and that's what I did. That's the Swift one that you'll see later. That's exactly what I did in that one. All right, that one I've got to check it because I got to pretty it up just a little bit because right now it prints out to about 12 decimal places, which isn't very cool. All right, still. This is where I got the message in here. I get right there. Not this time. It ran last time, but 2 times ago, it said it was an ARM problem. And when I got the message and I looked it up, it said that basically you're allocating too much RAM. Well, I went back and looked at it, and I didn't know how to allocate any less to it than what was being allocated. So I shut it off, shut down Android Studio, restarted Android Studio, ran it again, and it worked fine. All right. It is amazing. All right. That used to always be the old joke. You'd call up a computer helpline, and they'd say, is it plugged in? Because you weren't working on battery back then. And have you tried rebooting? But sometimes that stuff still happens. You have to shut it down and turn it back on again. Not sure exactly why, but you do. Yes.
I found a really awesome way for that. If you go to File, and then there's what was it? Something with your cache. Invalid cache and restart, and then just do a just restart. It's like the fastest, simplest way to refresh
Okay.
the project.
All right. And you're clearing out your cache then, so it should be starting with something fresh.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So enter. There it is. Again, is that pretty? I don't think so. But hopefully it's going to work, and hopefully it's going to be functional. That's what's more important. I had this problem before. You saw me. There we go. All right, so height, 72. Weight, 166 pounds. Calculate. And I shouldn't have to remove this.
Yeah, if you click that.
Oh, there you go. It doesn't get no better than that, right? It says, unfortunately, the app is stopped, and the funny thing is, it went back and showed me the old screen again. Look at that. That's the old screen. That's pretty nifty.
But yeah, if you click that round button on the keyboard, that'll hide the keyboard.
What round button on the keyboard? That round button?
That one, yeah.
All right. So the bottom line is, and I don't know why, because it worked when I tried it before, but is there anything that I just did that anyone needs explained, other than that mess, but anything else that doesn't make sense? That's what I'm looking for. All right? So I still expect you, we go back here, and we look out on our ever-trusting P drive here. All right, so mine doesn't look exactly like this, but the idea is the same. You get that idea. Okay? So what were you supposed to do? All right? Use a slider control. That wouldn't have been that hard to add a slider control in there. Okay? The point is, you now have all the logic that you need in order to be able to create this program. You may or may not agree with that, but I can't think of anything that we left out. So you'll be responsible for the slider control. And I think Luke was the one who asked me this. He said that, correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, that for the weight you use the slider too. And it's okay if you do that. To me, when you use a slider, you know, it should be used judiciously. In other words, if I'm going from 1 to 1,000,000, I don't want to use a slider. Because I don't know how in something, especially on a phone, you're going to be able to calculate. If I want 412,638, I don't know how I'm going to be able to get it. All right. So make the app landscape only. We could have changed the color very easily. I gave you the formula already. All right. And you have to add the image view. All right. And some kind of a logo. But the logic that's in here, you now have the logic. All right. Questions? I'll try to fix that, but I'm not sure exactly what the problem is, but I'll look for it. Sir.
Does just disabling the calculate button count as instead of, so the first thing you're going to do is hit calculate 400 remaining values?
You can do that.
Disable the calculate?
Yeah, you can do that until there's something put in there. That'd be fine.
Instead of doing your...
I don't care. Sure. You could say that's a cleaner way. I don't have any problem with that. Okay? But remember that after you clear, you're going to have to disable it again. See what I'm saying? Because so I run it once. I put in the values. I get all my stuff. Okay? Now let's say you've got a clear function. Or let's just say I remove everything from it. Myself, manually remove it. Now I click calculate. You bet. Because somebody's going to run your program is going to do that. Either because they don't know any better or they do and they want to see what happens. All right. Okay, that's all I had for this class.
Did you fix yours, Luke? So it wouldn't blow up on that?
Oh man, mine is check it out. I stayed up till frickin' I didn't sleep yesterday. My birthday, I checked this for last year.
Oh, you good?
Ow. I think I figured out what the problem was already.
Sick, wow.
You know, that's just the toast, dude.
Uh-huh.
That I blew it up, made it bigger instead of having the little one.
Right, yeah.
Figured out
Custom codes.
Excellent. Yeah. Oh, we won.
Remember how I showed you that on-click thing? And we wrote this? We wrote public, void, clear, and I wrote in here view. Everybody remember that? When I wrote the second one, you usually catch me on this.
I saw that.
Okay, because I wrote public, void, calculate BMI, paren with nothing inside. That's why it blew up.
Oh, yeah, because you didn't pass it.
Yeah, I didn't pass the view in. So I'm trying it again right now to see if that was the only thing that was wrong or if there was other things that were screwed up in it also.
When you do the grid layout for currency converter, currency converter, on
Yeah, we'll see.
the
This last
properties
one, I was just
values,
doing a tutorial on it, but it was junk.
if you want
I
6 rows and 3 columns,
too many errors and shit.
on the property
It's
side,
hard
you put 6 and 3 or
rendering problems with mine.
No, it's 6. It's 6 and 3, but the way the count will go would be 0 to 5.
5 and
Yes.
0